Time for our look ahead at the week in finance, and it's welcome again to Scott Phillips, the Chief Investment Officer at Motley. It's reporting season. It's moving into overdrive. Tomorrow, among others, it's Transurban, Tuesday CBA, Wednesday Telstra, big companies all with plenty of mum and dad investors. Scott, good evening to you. Are they going to deliver on profit and dividends?
Peter, good evening. If only I knew that, mate, I could probably be in the Hammers recording here rather than home. Look, it looks like these three companies will do reasonably well for investors. In fact, earnings season as a whole is likely to be pretty good. It's a sign of the strange recession and economic conditions that we've been through in the last 12 or 18 months, really, that some of these businesses, Commonwealth Bank's share price has almost never been higher. Telstra is almost at a 3-year high, and Transurban, despite, again, another lockdown in Victoria, really doing very, very well, almost as high as it was 2.5 years ago. And so the combination of all that means these businesses are likely to do pretty well for investors. Doesn't mean there's no risk. It'll be interesting to see what their outlook statements are. The numbers over the past 12 months, we know. The numbers looking forward, that's the big question. How are trading conditions looking given the lockdowns right around the country? OK, it's a quiet week for economic data, but the NAB business survey will be interesting following big falls in confidence and conditions last month, and more lockdowns, of course, since then. Yeah, you're exactly right. Look, and while it's a quiet week, these are two very, very big numbers coming up. The business confidence number in particular really talks to hiring conditions, business investment, how companies and individual sole traders are feeling about the businesses they're operating. As you say, they hit a high in business conditions and confidence in April of this year, and on a slow, steady decline since then. Of course, things got much worse in the last month or so around much of the country, and this really will be a big one, because if business confidence stalls, it's very, very hard to get going, and it will have ripple effects across the economy. OK, following on from that, Wednesday we move from business to consumer confidence. And this is the other side of that same coin. And this is a really, really important one as well, because if we feel like we're feeling good about the economy, we think things will be okay in the future, we'll keep spending. We still feel good. If we start to worry about what the future might look like economically, socially, health-wise, everything else, we start to close up those purses and wallets. If we do that, that really puts the economy in a stall. The business confidence numbers are important from a supply side, but the demand side is really where it all happens. And so if consumers do stop spending, that's a big one. This will be the first litmus test, I think, for the impact of the various government support packages around the country, state and federal. If they're hitting the mark, confidence will be okay. If they're not, they'll tell us we've got more work to do. And over the weekend, we had the Dow up, the Nasdaq down a little. How will that influence our share market tomorrow, Scott? Yeah, we did have a bit each way, didn't we? The good news was overall, the S&P 500 was up almost 0.1%. That's translated to about just under 0.5% gain for the ASX S&P 200 futures as they open tomorrow morning. That should mean a good day. Of course, you mentioned earnings season. That may have a bigger impact than the Dow, but we'll see tomorrow day. Scott Phillips, Chief Investment Officer, Motley. As always, thanks for joining us on the Late News. Thanks, Peter.